Now welcome to the annual Leeds Endoscopy quiz, which this year is sponsored by Pentax Medical. Now we've got 4 participants. We've got Jamal Al-Asiry, consultant gastroenterologist at Wakefield, with Thoufeeq, consultant gastroenterologist at Sheffield, Pradeep Mundre, consultant gastroenterologist at Bradford, and finally Nick Burr, endoscopy fellow in Leeds. I'll be pairing these 4 into 2 groups to answer the 10 questions, and we've got a final decider question if there is a tie at the end. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, so to recap on the rules, so there are 10 questions, and you're in 2 teams. So Prad, you're with Mo, Jamal is with Nick. You get it right, you get 2 points.
This is important for me anyway. You lot have all got your consultant jobs. This is like a worldwide interview for me.
Okay, guys. Question 1. When endoscopy started to be used in clinical medicine in the 1970s or so, what was seen as the most useful application? Gastroscopy, colonoscopy, or ERCP?
Oh, interesting question.
That's interesting, yeah.
I think, thinking through it, you could still do contrast studies, couldn't you, of the gullet and the bowel? But to actually fish out a gallstone, that was a real problem, wasn't it? So I reckon they thought to get down to that ampulla and fish out a gallstone was the best thing to do with a fibre optic tube.
And that is correct. Mo and Prad. First flexible endoscope was developed in which country? Germany, Japan, or America? Who takes credit for it?
Well, it's got to be Europe. To be local, it's got to be... I think the Germans did a lot of things with technology and engineering.
The question goes across to Nick and Jamal.
Interesting, a chance to steal at this early stage. I've got no idea. We associate all endoscopes
with Japan. Yeah. I reckon we just blag it and go Japan. I'd say Japan.
And that is sadly the wrong answer. It's America. Yep. The xenon bulbs in the light sources are being phased out, as you know. They're being replaced with the new LED systems in the new endoscope systems. And that's a good thing because they had a tendency to explode when they exceeded their lifespan. I had that experience once. It's one hell of a bang. But after how many hours should the bulb be changed in the light source? Should it be changed after 500 hours, 1,000 hours, or 2,000 hours?
I thought it was
That's just a couple of your colonoscopies, isn't it, Pradeep?
Yeah. Mo, what do you think?
You know, on the light source, there is a little scale hidden with little lights kind of count down. And when they're down to 0, you're supposed to phone medical physics to have the bulb exchanged. They burn longer, but you're supposed to change them then because you don't want to have an explosion. It also causes damage to all the surrounding structures inside the light source, so the repair can be extensive.
Mo, 1,000 or 2,000?
1,000 hours? That question goes across to Jamal and Nick.
Oh, God.
500 hours or 2,000 hours? Which one are you going to go for?
Well, I think they like to try and make us change the bulbs as often as we can, even if we don't need to. So I'd go a low number.
I like Nick's thought process about the money.
You are correct. It's actually 500 hours. Way less than you think. We're going to stay with Mo and Pradeep. The endoscope manufacturers are unhappy with us adding simethicone to the wash water. Is it because the chemical could weaken the channel? Is it because it can block the wash channel? Or is it because it can lead to buildup of biofilm? What do you reckon?
I feel it's biofilm, don't you think?
I'll stick with Pradeep's gut feeling.
And you are correct. It's before the invention of the variable stiffness colonoscope by Olympus, I remember some endoscopists preferring stiff shaft, while others preferred a softer, more pliable endoscope. If he was of a cruel nature, you wanted a stiff scope, damn it. Of course, today we stand up on the shoulders of endoscopy giants of the past, but which guy actually invented the variable stiffness colonoscope? Was it Tony Axon, Peter Cotton, or Christopher Williams?
Didn't Pete Cotton write the book on colonoscopy and endoscopy?
Yeah,
Surely,
Yes,
surely,
yes,
surely
absolutely.
that's the guy to put the money on. I'd go with Peter Cotton, yeah.
Peter Cotton.
Peter Cotton, and the question goes across to Mo and Pradeep.
I think we would have known if it was Tony Axon, wouldn't we?
Williams is someone who's done a lot of work with scope guides and Olympus.
Okay.
And it's most likely, my gut feeling is Christopher Williams. What do you think, Pradeep?
You are correct, Mo. It was Christopher Williams. We're going to stay with you. What figure should we quote the average 55-year-old patient about the risk of developing a bowel cancer within 3 years of a normal colonoscopy? 1 in 1,000, 1 in 2,000, or 1 in 3,000 risk of developing bowel cancer in 3 years' time?
Depends how long the light bulb was working.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, Mo, if the light bulb goes, if it goes, then there is a spare bulb inside the light source box. Yeah. It's not as bright as the first one, but it will give you emergency lighting to see your way out. Not many people know that.
Well, if it's Jamal, then I would go for 1 in 1,000. Let's go with 1 in 3,000, should we say?
Okay.
And you are correct. If the patient has got inflammatory bowel disease and you do a colonoscopy, then you quote the risk of something like less than 1 in 100, I think. Isn't that right, Nick?
Well, actually, if we're getting scientific about it now, the most recent Danish paper said that the risk is still very low, so it's 1 in 1,000, but they're undergoing a lot more colonoscopies, so your overall chance of having a post-colonoscopy cancer is high, but for each individual colonoscopy it's low. It's all very complicated.
Jamal and Mick, the scope guide or the scope pilot system, that scope pilot being Pentax and scope guide being the Olympus system. In the UK, we would call it a core piece of equipment in all UK endoscopy rooms. But where was this piece of equipment invented? Was it in the United Kingdom, in Germany, or in Israel?
I think this was something that came out of St. Mark's, wasn't it? I think Saeed Shah used to work in Wakefield before you, Jamal. I think he was involved with developing this. Yeah. So I think we'll go UK.
You are spot on, and you're absolutely right. Saeed Shah, he did some of the core research around it. Below, taken from the internet, are quotes from 3 patient information leaflets from 3 different countries, which are given to patients due to have a colonoscopy in 3 different countries, as I said. So the first statement is, during your colonoscopy, you lie on your left-hand side on an exam table, you give sedatives through an IV in your arm, and you go to sleep. That's country number 1. Country number 2 says, if you're anxious about the procedure, talk to the doctor or the nurse about your concerns and ask whether you can have sedation. Country number 3 says, colonoscopy usually takes place in hospital under a general anesthetic and requires you to turn up without eating, drinking, or smoking beforehand.
America, France, perhaps, is the answer. Country number 2 sounds like you're giving lots of options. It's probably UK.
UK, yeah. Country B is UK. I think I agree with you.
You are correct. Number 2. If you're anxious, you can discuss it and ask whether you can have sedation. That's the UK approach.
Country number.
During your colonoscopy, you lie on the left-hand side on an exam table. You get sedatives through an IV in your arm, and you go to sleep.
This is Spain, I think, more.
Yeah.
You say Spain is actually incorrect. That question goes across to Nick and Jamal. What country do you reckon that was?
I think USA sounds like the third one, although the smoking makes me think the French. I mean, that's a bad association, isn't it? We shouldn't be stereotyping France to the top one.
France, yeah.
No. The top one is actually America. So you went for the wrong one. I can tell you that the country has been mentioned already.
It's probably France then.
Okay.
And you are correct. The last one is France. France, of course, is general anesthetics for some reason. The French colonoscopy say it's not because they're rubbish at colonoscopy. They say it's because they're not allowed to give midazolam in France. Only an anaesthetist can give midazolam.
5 for girls, 10 for the boys. Dual medicine.
Now, final question, which goes to Jamal and Nick. At colonoscopy, we refer to the lawyer's triangle as an area in the colon. And where would that be? Is it the area which you only see when you retrovert in the rectum? Is it the area behind either the hepatic or splenic flexures, the blind area there? Or is it deep in the cecum? What do you reckon?
Well, yeah, I think where are the most missed? All those places are where you're most likely to miss a lesion, so it could be any of them. But what do you think about behind the ileocecal valve and the
down there,
appendiceal orifice?
Well, I'll go with the cecum with you. You've been on fire today, Nick.
You're going to say cecum. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are correct. It is the cecum. It's the little triangle between the two edges of the ileocecal valve and the appendix orifice, that kind of blind area, which you really have to put your nose deep into the cecum, otherwise you miss it, basically. You both have 7 points, both teams. We can now move on to the very last question, which goes to Mo and Pradeep. In the examination, which of these drugs would you give first? And then I got the chemical formula of the 3 drugs. And one is C22H28N2O. The second one is C18H13 CIFN3. And the last one is C2H6OSIN.
So I guess we associate these with fentanyl.
One is fentanyl, one is midazolam, and one is dimethicone, which of course you wouldn't give IV.
Dimethicone, di means C2. Mo, do you think can go with that analogy?
I only know C2H5O2OH.
Yeah. I'm afraid that is the wrong answer. It is not C18. So that means Jamal and Nick, you can clinch it with 1 point if you get this right. Is it C22 or is it C2?
SI in it, so we should go for the other one.
Correct. I like it.
And Jamal, you are absolutely right. It is C22H28. That is fentanyl, and that's the first drug you use.
Well done.
Well done, guys.
Well, the youngsters win.
You won the Christmas quiz 2020 by 1 point. Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
That
was good.
Yeah, I think
Now, thank you for listening to our annual Leeds Endoscopy Christmas quiz, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with a news update. Bye for now.